Hello, everybody. We're coming from TreeSisters for the creative interviews. And today, our special guest is Azul-Valérie Thomé. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And she is here with us today to share her innermost views of creativity, which is, take it from me, I've been going through all of her things, and there is so much. She's just into so many different levels of creativity, connection to Earth, and what she wants to bring and create into the world. So we're going to try to get that all into like 25 minutes or so. And the rest you can hear from her later. But let me tell you a little bit about her to begin with. Azul is the active visionary behind the organization SOULand, making the world of our longing. So, I mean, some of the things I'm going to say to you will probably touch you and if I stop, that's because it's touching me. Azul is a designer of soulful rituals, an earth artist, a sacred activist, and mentor devoted to restoring humanity back to a deep and honorable relationship with the earth. She's also an ecological design. She has a degree in she's an ecological designer. And, that's creating places with the acknowledgement of the earth. And we want to talk about that a little bit today, too. Azul shares wisdom teachings and gatherings centered on maturing as humans. Grief ritual, women's rites of passage, earth-informed art and life cairns, dedications for honoring extinct species. Azul is a tree sister who lives in a little wooden cabin on the edge of the wood in Devon, England, and that's also considered Totnes, I believe.
Yeah.
Part of her response to her full engagement with Extinction Rebellion, deep adaptation, and the work that reconnects, deep love and wild grief with life. So, besides all that, her artist expression currently, besides everything, is also with her hands in weaving and sewing, painting, green wood carving, clay, and multi-materials. So there's just so much right here, Azul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to have you with us. And your beautiful springtime, summertime, whatever is happening there, it just feels so good. You got good weather today. My first question for you is, what inspired you to become a tree sister?
It goes back to the beginning when I saw Claire on Be the Change conference, I don't know, 2 lifetimes ago or something. And then we were on Woman on Fire together, both on stage talking about different things. And it started that seed of sanity. It's almost like the sanity that was the invitation of sanity. That's for me was, and also now increasingly is as a gift to the earth. It's like TreeSisters. It's almost, at the time, perhaps it was for an outcome.
Yeah.
Like if we plant trees and if sisterhood heals, then it'll be better for us. Now it's not even that. I'm just going, let's plant these million of trees as an honorable gift.
Yeah.
Of thank you for the hosting us and the feeding us. And so I am so grateful that it exists. So grateful. We don't have hours, so
yeah. We're grateful too. I mean, really, just to hear you explain it as well. The connection is so much deeper than just a connection to any organization doing, environmental work. It's it does come through Claire, and I believe now all of the TreeSisters that are involved, and anyone who comes in sort of is being called into, and, you know, like, we'll get into it, but sharing the grief and then knowing our connection, and then wanting to give back in whatever ways that, you know, we are gifted with, and, you know, through the creation energy. So that creativity is coming through the earth, in my opinion, and it's coming through us, and we're giving it back. So it's full reciprocity. And the beautiful way in which you do it. So let's see. So many things, like I said, and I know tomorrow you're starting right away to work with some womb belts. So let's talk about that for just a minute right now. We might come back to it. But TreeSisters is actually going to be organizing a project around your womb belts for International Women's Day. And there'll be more on that later. So we're not talking about, you know, specifics at this moment. But I would just love to, you know, have you describe the womb belt. I will bring it up later. I don't think I'll bring it up right now, because we'd rather watch you talk about it, and then I'll show a picture of what that looks like in a little bit.
Good. So I'll take you through the vision, shall I, of womb belt, which is weaving woman back into matter. I am increasingly interested in the word matter. So matter, and love etymology, and the root of the word matter, mater in German, and it's mother. And so it's coming back to mother, and it, to me, is coming back to the body of the earth, and coming back home through the weaving of our stories and of our grief, of our traumas, of our songs, of our longings, of our missed rites of passage that we can weave back. So the vision that I had 2 years ago was of a tree, literally, of women tied to a tree, backstrap weaving. With 13 women. That's what the vision was. We were all tied to the same tree, like a wheel.
Yeah.
We had, yarn stuck attached to our hips, and the other part of the yarn attached to the trunk of the tree. And all the women were weaving together. And at one point, I invite the woman to move from their belt, which is often a little, oh no.
Yeah.
To move to the other woman's belt, and weave their prayers and sing for them, and we go around and we come back to our belt. So when you wear this womb belt around your hips, you've got 12 other women who have your back. And you have this tree. Believe me, they are so delighted that the women are gathering around them again, and singing and crying and laughing like only women can laugh, right, from their belly, and praying, and
and you created this for it came to you in a vision. I'm crying because it's just so touching to me in so many ways. You know, I can't wait to do mine with a group of 13 women, and to share that with each woman moving on. And I get that, you know, it's hard to move and leave yours and, you know, kind of go to another one, and what's going to happen with mine now. That it's sort of that trust that the sisterhood is, right? And that forest floor that's beneath the tree, right? And that energy all brings it and connects it into us. And those visions are sacred, you know, and they're given to us. And thank you so much for bringing it forward in such a beautiful way. And, you know, when it comes to the point where we can start to launch this throughout TreeSisters Groves with Jenny, it will be, there'll be a lot of tears. That I know that there'll be a lot of joy and laughter and all of that, but the tears are just automatic because it's so touching, it's so needed, and it's just so meaningful. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but yeah, as I was researching all of your things, I mean, I knew you already, but I felt I need to research, and I was just in tears on and off and on and off, and I think it's because, you know, you really are listening to the messages that are coming through right now for all of us, and so that's beautiful to me. And while I have a bit of a tear in my eye, I'm going to bring up your dear friend and who we lost this year, Polly Higgins. And I shouldn't say lost. I don't like to say that because I feel that she was woven into that same fabric that you're doing. And one of your rituals around the grief around that was 40 days of, you know, a send-off. I'd like you to explain it a little bit more if you can. And thank you.
Thank you. That's my time to cry now. I just want to say about tears as well. It's really about love, all of it.
Yeah.
So, wow, I love it. I love tears. And I love Polly. And so the journey of the 40 days, briefly, it started when my mother died 2 years ago. I felt, what happened after that? You can't just leave them like that. Surely not. Surely not. What do we do with our dead? You know, my mother, and however complex the relationship was, what is the duty of care of our dead? Yes, of alive, but there's also duty of care of our dead. No. So I looked and I studied, and I saw this 40-day overlap of through religion and spiritual and temples, and I chose that. So I did it for her, and then I did it 3 times, and Polly died. Oh, yeah, and it was hard for me because I was meant to see her the week before or something, and she died so fast. So I always start the same way. Is how can we, through our love and us leaning into grief and leaning into death and leaning into that love we have for the people that are dying, have died, how do we accompany them to the shore of the ancestors? Yeah. I feel it's the duty of the living. They don't go there automatically. It's like it's an assumption that when you're dead, you're an ancestor, or when you're old, you become an elder. It's an assumption. Or that even when you're born, you're alive. It's another assumption. So it was like, so every day, I use my drum and go on a journey with her. Yeah. And I made a little book. A little book for friends. Yeah. I could talk about it a long time, but I know we don't have enough time. I know. I want to, because many TreeSisters followed Polly's work with Ecocide, and her work is so powerful and important still, and it's still being carried out. And so I wanted to mention it because of the beautiful way that you did usher her through those 40 days. And I have one of the books that you sent me in the email. Yeah, it's just so important. And, you know, I just wanted to hold that minute or two that we spoke is a very sacred minute or two for everyone who does and always will know that Polly is part of us and that we're carrying her work forward. Whether we knew her well or not, there was this strong connection made. I never met her. I've seen a lot of her film and I read a lot of her work, but I was touched so deeply. Anyway, so moving from Polly into grief in general, right? So that's another thing, TreeSisters and a lot of us who are hearing the news now, we've known this, most of us have known this for many, many, many years. And
you know, the grief is tied up with anger. Like, why was it kept from us? Why, you know, how could this be so? How could, you know, but the grief is a real part of it that everyone has to go through. And so I really, you know, I would recommend that anyone, you know, sort of read what you wrote and you write about that, you know, and I think that it's very helpful for all of us to recognize that it's not something we just go through, but to, I love what you're doing. You're creating moments and sacred moments and rituals and, you know, whatever anyone wants to call them. What we're doing is you're acknowledging what's true, and what is really part of our lives is death, is grief, you know, all of these things, and the tears, like you said, and instead of hiding them or, you know, wiping them away and pretending everything's okay, that there's a gift in there too, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots more for, you know, you to talk about that, but I just want to let everyone know to look into what you're doing with that. Okay, so this weekend you're going to be starting to do the Womb Bells, and then this coming week you're going to be working at Women's Fest. So if you want to just share a little bit about that, but before you do, I just want to just sort of this whole thread that we're weaving right now in this conversation is about that creative listening. It is about the source of our creativity, and, you know, where these ideas for the grief counseling or the 40 days or the womb belt or all of the art that we'll see, you know, that you've done and made and painted and created, but it's all coming, you know, from the same deep listening and the same acknowledgement for the sacred in our lives, right? I mean, there's just so much messaging coming through from our ancestors, from our future selves, you know, from our current selves. And so as you talk about Women Fest, I just wanted to make sure that we see how this thread is being woven, the golden thread. I know you talk about it too. I could go, you know, so many conversations that could happen. Oh gosh. Yeah, but, you know, you can take it where you want to take it for right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that golden thread. Part of my work is to go into darkness. So even the grief composting is about making friend with darkness, and in the grief and death are part of four sisters, and their grief and love and death and rebirth. And to me, they're like the backbones of life. What it is to be alive is to really enter conversation, deep conversation and relationship with these four ladies, four sisters. And the gold thread spans from dark matter. And I think that's what artists are, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever inspiration, wherever we get it from, and whatever the reason, you know. I mean, I was thinking of your questions. So I'm bringing to the Women Fest, for the first time, we're bringing a black tent. So I'll be the keeper of the black tent. And black tent because menopause as well, that phase, which is so like a womb of rebirth totally for a woman. It's like, I really sense it. It's like for the first time we see who we really are. And we just cannot bear anymore the colonization of our mind, of our heart, of our womb, of our hips, of our whatever. You know, it's like,
it's done.
Yeah, but it takes courage, because of course then we have to face our fear of being ostracized or death and the grief and all that. So all this will be there in the black tent.
Yeah.
We'll look at the inner council of a woman, and how do we speak from our sovereign self, our queen, and look at all the other part of our council, inner council, archetypes, and each archetype has an animal that sits by them. And yeah, so that's one. And there's the womb belt. We're going to be weaving women back into matter. There'll be wild grief, and there will be beautiful. We're going to wake up at dawn and do a dream circle. And really, I feel that to befriend darkness in the time we live in is a really good tool. It's a good skill, yeah, for practitioners. I think we all need to become practitioners. Like skill up with all the ones I've been talking about, which are being demonized, and, pushed down, and we don't want to talk about it, do we? Really, it's a bit uncomfortable. We have to be all nice.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And I was thinking of your question about my inspiration. There's many threads to this, but one of them is I needed, through my art, I enter a relationship to other beings than human. And I think because earlier on I've been very traumatized by human beings, and I loved life so much, that I needed to find other beings to talk to, but also to get guidance from them.
Yeah.
Because it was not impossible for humans, for me in my life.
Yeah.
I cannot go there for you. And I still, with much more love for humans and my own humanity, but I still feel that other beings, trees and rivers and animals, and have so much they want to offer us. They long, what I keep feeling is they long for our return.
Yeah.
That's what I said on XR. I was invited to do a speech for the closing ceremony. And all I could say is, they long for our return. There is no wish for revenge or for us to be out of the picture. I don't feel that one moment. And I feel that we left the web for some reason.
Yes.
Maybe to be initiated into some other maturity or something. I don't know. I have no idea. But they long for us to come back.
They do.
And I'm like, yes.
They
do. Help us.
Help us.
We're like this, we're little. We're big, but we are really young.
Yeah, we're young.
We've been here nothing. 50,000, 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Depends what stories you follow. And as humans, we're like, baby. So the bees, I paint bees. They're like been here for 150 million years?
Yeah.
Bees. They know a little bit.
They know what's happening. And they come sit down, come sit with us, join us. There was a monarch in my front yard yesterday doing that. I walked up front and I had planted a bunch of milkweed for the monarch, and I was hoping they would come, and they haven't come for a couple of years. And I walked up and all of a sudden I saw the big wings of the monarch, and I thought, oh my gosh, and I dropped my bags and I scared it because I ran in like a big, and then I just sat still and I said, if you want to just come here, I would love to see you closer, and it just was circling me. And I held my hands out. I really want that too, and I feel that, they're like, well, yeah, we need our food, we need the things that keep us alive, or we can't be there with you. You have to care for us. You have to understand us, and
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And everything, like I said, this conversation with you could really go on for a long time. Yeah, there's just so many things bouncing in and out, but that's what creativity is. There's all of these magical, messages and thoughts of connection and rebirth and all of the things you were talking about. So it's one of those really beautiful places that I know you and I could sit and talk.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can bring us into a place. So I want to show some of your artwork, and I also want to, I don't want to pass up the thought that you were speaking of connecting to the darkness, because I feel, I'm an infant when it comes to that for sure. But there was a time that I said, okay, Shadow, if you're not going to leave me alone, then let's just do this together. And I, took my shadow by the hand and brought, her into into the studio with me, and snot and boogers and tears and whatever, and just let it all happen. And it was one of the biggest revelations for me as a human being and as a mother and as a woman I've ever had. And I know that your womb belt works a lot with, well, it may have been one of the ideas was to work with 1 billion rising for the women that are, that have been hurt. And I'm one of those women as well. And so you have to, at some point, make that connection. I think it's one of the biggest healing things that we're missing. So I wanted to talk. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but I wanted to mention it and solidify that. Next thing I'm going to do is bring up your art, and then you can talk to us all about it. Just time-wise, we probably have about maybe 10 minutes. So I'm just giving us an idea. There we are. Okay. So first of all, we have this beautiful, I think, little cabin in the woods where you live and create. And oh my gosh, so intriguing.
I love this little cabin.
How did you find it?
I made a call. There's really something about believing in visions, as all the TreeSisters have seen. Claire held a vision, then everyone held a vision. It's like you hold a vision and just keep at it. So I kept a vision of living on, partly with the humans and partly with the other than human.
Yeah.
I am literally sitting in it right now, and I've got the forest at the back, and I've got the human community in the front.
Oh.
And it's looking slightly different now. It's an old photo, but it's where I make, it's where I pray, it's where I sleep, it's where I eat, it's where I meet people, and it's my home and my workshop and my altar.
Yeah, I love that. Now, how far from civilization are you?
You mean like a town?
Yeah.
I'm about 15 minutes from Totnes.
Okay, it seems like you're just so far, like.
Not far. And I'm 10 minutes from the River Dart.
Oh, nice. Well, you found a gem, a perfect gem for you.
It's gorgeous.
Now, here's one of the womb belts that we talked about earlier. We, woven around a tree.
Yes, this is also some of the threads are created with nettle stems. This one, it's my very first one. So I wanted to honor this one and thank my teachers who have taught me how to backstrap weaving in Dartmoor.
And this is also a way of earning for other women to earn money. They can create these belts, right?
Totally. That's what I really, yes, when we go deeper into this, it's what I'd love to support women doing, is sort of create that.
Here's a little bit of
Here is a tree with 13 women. We don't see them, we just see their feet, because that's the way it needs to be. And we all tied to an apple tree this time. It was a fruity apple tree. You can see the apples there.
Yeah.
In Belgium, that one was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Looks like a beautiful day. It's just so beautiful, and the whole idea of the wheel and the weaving and the tree and the bare feet, and there's just so many things to love about it. So,
isn't it?
Yes. When we, when it becomes, when Jenny brings it out and into the groves, and I'm excited about that, when everybody can learn a lot more about it. And then here is some of your artwork. This is your wheel, right? Like a medicine wheel.
Sacred cloth that I created for a teacher of mine, and it's dyed in turmeric. So the fabric is dyed in turmeric, and it's to do with the allies of that person and the one that he talked to and who talks to him.
Yeah.
So the American oak that lives in California, and the wolf, stag,
Mhm.
sun, ants, ink and paint.
And
And
this is all
also
painted on the fabric,
the fabric is dyed with turmeric.
and then the ink.
The ink and then the paint is a mixture of pigment and acrylic paint.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Beautiful, really beautiful.
it's a sacred cloth, so I make that on commission. People share their animals or their beings, and then I can create something with them.
Oh, for each individual, that's beautiful. Mhm. And this looks like some type of an exhibit. Is this in London?
It was for the Extinction Rebellion water
Mm.
pilgrimage we did. We walked 3 miles through London, and we carried these beings with us.
Oh,
And they are archetypal daemon, the whole story about. So each one represents an archetype of a woman. And the ravens are the magician, and the mother, the bear, and the stag is the huntress.
I think I have them
Here we
separate.
go. Yeah, the ravens, and that I created for the archetype of the magician, one of the
Beautiful.
9 archetypes I work with for the inner council. The mother, yes.
I think
This
this one is
inner
out of sequence.
It's an inner king. So each, I suggest that each queen, woman, us, our sovereignty, we also have an inner king
Mm.
inside us that supports the queen. That's his job and his delight. So that's mine. It's the one I made for me. He's sort
This,
of an original. He's many things. He's so ancient, and I adore looking in his eyes.
yeah, I
So that's
feel it too. I love his beard.
embroidery and felt work and paint.
Yes, the skills are so beautiful. The handcrafts are just stunning. Can I ask you, did you make a square for our Tree Sister quilt?
I did miss that bit.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
Yes,
They're
must
still putting it together, so if there's room for one, I'd love you to
I'd
see if we could get that.
love to. This is part of a new series, or not so new anymore, the Dark Matter Anima Mundi. So you referred to that a few times.
Yeah,
That the earth, our earth, Anima Mundi, the soul of the earth, speaks through us.
yeah.
I, after working with Extinction so much 2 years ago and last year,
Mm.
I was on my knees, I was quite broken, and I wanted to paint and honor the beings living around me that live here, that
Yeah,
are not extinct. So that was the kingfisher,
that's
one of many.
amazing. Yes, I love the whole thing. And I think this is the last one that I
This
have.
is in Scotland, and it's a slate, one of those
Yeah,
unique Scottish slate, where I looked at the slate and this woman, this tree woman,
yeah,
there, she was in there. So I, I, I made her a bit more visible. So she's called the tree woman, and yeah, she keeps. That's the thing about creating. In some ways, I don't know about you, but you
mm,
create, and they call us for bringing them into visibility and into form, and then a relationship starts.
mhm.
Uh, I'm often puzzled, going, "Who are you?
Yeah,
Wow, whew, it's like wow," and another relationship starts, and
yeah, for real. It's
for real, and I'm like, "Whoa, okay."
yeah,
So
that's what's available to all of us, and
all of us,
that's what I love so much about the creativity piece of Tree Sisters. That there's so much potential and possibility, and it's coming. It wants to come through us and connect to us and come forth through us, and it's not about skill level. I mean, I studied art in college, but it's nothing compared to the experience of when someone or some image wants to come through you and what it does to you, right? and what it does to others. I mean, I've just watched people, you know, coming face to face with some piece that I've done or others have done, and having a visceral experience that the artist didn't even know what that was, right?
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. Well, we're coming to the end, but can never be the end with Azul. So I'm going to ask you one more final question for everybody today, and I hope we can do this again, because I think, you know, as it gets closer to International Women's Day, it would be fun to, you know, start talking about it more. But what would be, just from your own personal experiences, and I know you've already given so many jewels, what would you say, you know, just to encourage and, you know, some wisdom or encouragement, support for those who want to be creative, want to step into their fullness of their creativity, whatever age they are, you know, from the youngest to the oldest? And what would that be from Azul? One thing.
It makes me cry. I'm not sure why. I get it's something around our creativity. If it moves a woman, it's, let me find my words. It needs to percolate up. Something around, let's go back to the fact that it is anima mundi speaking. If you don't like Latin, let's call it the soul of the earth.
Soul of the earth.
The soul of the earth. We are not separate from that as women or men. So if there's a longing and then a movement towards creativity, if we don't do it, not only it stifles our life force, but it stifles the life force and anything that the earth delights into giving to us. You know, so what I'm saying to any woman who's listening to this is that if you have that movement, that creativity, then lean into your fears about it. You know, let it burn you. My goodness, what can happen? Yeah, yeah, it's all right. And call another sister. You know, play with it, scream with it. You know, drum in it. Yeah, just like dance it, whatever you can, to just, and then see it as a gift. It's nothing to do with me or you, Kathleen, is it? It's like,
no,
we're just like, this is it, you know, this is what happened.
Yes, so much gratitude that comes in those moments, right? And we just trusting that it's continuous, and whatever's being shown to us is the right thing and the right way and the path. And thank you.
If it made any sense, I hope it did. I just feel passionate.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful.
Either way, it's a gift right now.
Yes, it's a gift that's needed, and it's something that we can give back with.
Yeah.
So it's a gift that keeps on giving in that way that, you know, we need to bring the gift forward so that we can give the gift back to the earth to create this healthy world that we really, 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 really need, and we really are.
Like an apple tree.
Yes.
You could become an apple tree.
Become an apple tree.
That's it. The last.
That's it. That's all we needed to say. Become an apple tree. I love it, Azul. I absolutely love it. And I'm conscious of your time because I know you have to go. I appreciate so much for your time today. And, you know, we didn't talk a lot about SOULand, and that's, you know, it's a substantial design for community, and we talked about a lot of the pieces of it, but I also encourage others to to look into that too, because that came through the creative channels.
Yes.
The soul of the earth, and let's all just be apple trees. Love you, Azul.
Yeah, much love, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from some of you. Yes, and we'll weave women back into matter together soon.
Beautiful.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Much love.